Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. My name is Callie, and this is a special weekend of clarinets, cats, and coffee. I am featuring the E-flat clarinet, and I'm going to give you a few tips on getting started on this, including recommendations on equipment and mouthpiece. This was my first love as an auxiliary instrument. Those of you who have been watching my channel may be surprised because I have really only posted bass clarinet videos, but when I first started dabbling in the world of auxiliary instruments, this was my first love. I was way too tense for bass clarinet way back in the day. Things have changed and I like both pretty equally. They're both fun in their own way, so would highly recommend giving this a try. Some of the challenges of E-flat clarinet that I've noticed either in myself when I was starting or in students who have switched over. One is tuning. It's a little wild, a little crazy, all over the place, so I have some tips for that. Two is air. It's a little different. Three is voicing and tongue position, okay? So we're gonna actually start with the voicing and the tongue position and whatever you wanna call it. I'm gonna call it tongue position, okay? The tongue position on E-flat clarinet, you have to imagine playing high range on B-flat clarinet. What do you do when you're playing high range on B-flat clarinet? You voice higher, your tongue is higher, the air is faster, it's more focused, right? And so I kind of imagine prepping my air like I'm gonna just blow a very focused laser beam of air through like a very small aperture. Actually, that's really what's happening here. So anyway, so that helps me get that very direct, very controlled, focused column of air. Now, I have found that I don't have to push quite as hard with this instrument to get it to be heard because it's high. Also, it's smaller, right? So you really don't have to like blast it because, you know, the air is going to come out a little bit sooner than it would if you were playing a B-flat clarinet. So don't push whenever you're playing on this thing, okay? So high tongue, breathe naturally, don't force or squeeze or push your air. Embouchure, corners, I have found I gotta make sure my corners are really tight and my chin is really flat, or else anything above the break is gonna be a little bit of a disaster. Now, in terms of ear training, the biggest thing that I think we run into is just getting that scoopy flat sound at the beginning of notes when we're playing high. And the reason for that, I believe, is when we see a note on the page, we're thinking voicing for the B-flat clarinet. We have to actually be thinking a fourth higher than the B-flat clarinet if we want to be in tune on the E-flat clarinet. So let me give you an example. I'm going to play a low C on the clarinet and then a low C on the E-flat. It's very different, isn't it? So the pitch of the low C on regular clarinet is actually a low G on E-flat. The pitch of the C on the E-flat is actually F on the clarinet. Imagine we're playing up very high. So if we're not prepared for that change in pitch from what we see, it's going to be a disaster. So one thing you can practice is just singing different pitches of intervals really on the E-flat clarinet. So I like to practice singing like a major triad, okay? So like play your C, sing the E, so it's a little bit of a challenge once it gets really high, but you can maybe sing down an octave. Practice that, just practice that, okay? So give yourself little things to practice ear training, singing, trying to match pitch, right? That's gonna help a lot. The next thing that I find useful is actually just the very first Rose etude that I played here at the beginning of the video, the first of Rose's 32 etudes. And the reason for that is a lot of players, by the time they switch to E-flat clarinet or try it out, have become competent enough to be able to learn and play the Rose 32 etudes on B-flat clarinet. So you jump into this, you're familiar with how it sounds, first of all, and it's a good way for you to kind of train your ear to hear things higher, because you're used to seeing it pitch, right, and hearing it on your B-flat clarinet. So this is an opportunity to really think about the intervals that you're playing, and you know the melody, so you can match your pitch by, you know, switching your brain, transposing your brain up that fourth. So those are my tips for getting started on E-flat clarinet. Now, equipment-wise, I actually really love my BD5 mouthpiece. I like it because it has a warmer, darker, more covered sound, which I think balances out the brightness of the E-flat clarinet. The other bonus of this is that the width of the tip of the mouthpiece is actually the width of a B-flat clarinet reed, which is kind of a pro tip. If you want to play E-flat clarinet, try hacking off the bottom of your B-flat reeds and use them on your E-flat clarinet. And I'm pretty sure the BD5 was probably designed with the player in mind who likes to use their B-flat reeds for E-flat clarinet. So when I want to saw off the bottom of my B-flat reeds, I actually use a craft saw. I will put a link below to where you can find that on Amazon if you're interested in it. I actually have like little marks where I line up the saw and everything, and it's very tiny and easy to pack away. So I do that. The other thing though, you may have noticed, is that my reed actually is hanging over the barrel just a little bit. And that is because I ended up buying a new barrel a few years ago for my E-flat clarinet from Brian Corbin, and it has a little notch right here where if you want to use your B-flat reeds and you don't want to saw the bottom off, you can just put that on and there you go. It's all good. It just lays flat. So this is actually just a regular B-flat reed that has been unaltered for the E-flat clarinet. In terms of reed strength, I find I actually use the same reed strength on my E-flat clarinet that I use for my B-flat clarinet. And I think that's it. So if you are borrowing an E-flat clarinet, which I think a lot of us do, I do highly recommend you just buy your own mouthpiece, ligature, reed. I like my ligature a lot. It's a Van Doorn Optimum ligature, very stable. I've never had to replace this ligature. It's lasted years and years, so it's great. But you know, when you're playing on a school instrument, school provided mouthpieces can be kind of gross and old and damaged, and so if you have your own equipment, you'll have a much better chance of being successful. All right, and that's pretty much it. As far as things to practice, there are excerpts, there are band pieces, Rose etudes, literally anything you practice on B-flat clarinet, you can practice on E-flat clarinet as well. So have fun with this little toy, and don't be afraid to wear earplugs while you practice. The high notes are quite piercing and can be painful. So I always leave a closet door open for Luke to hide in when I have to practice this thing. Anyway, have fun practicing this. I hope you guys have a good weekend, a great week next week, and as always, happy practicing.